Assalamu alaikum and a very good morning, everyone. I am Dr. Wasim, representing Neurosurgical Unit 1 of Punjab Institute of Neurosciences, Lahore. And today I'm here to share with you our institutional experience of neuronavigation assisted awake craniotomy using tractography and intraoperative neurophysiological monitoring for eloquent area brain tumors. So the basic purpose of the study was to evaluate the awake craniotomy using tractography and intraoperative neurophysiological monitoring for excising the eloquent area brain tumors in terms of the extent of resection and post-op neurological status. The study was a case series 1. It was conducted at Punjab Institute of Neurosciences, Lahore from November 2016 up till the March 2020. And it included 23 consecutive cases of awake craniotomy. Each case was assessed clinically before the surgery, immediately after the surgery, and at 1 month and 3 months after the surgery. Now, the most important inclusion criteria was that the patient must be having a parenchymal brain lesion in or adjacent to the eloquent area of the brain. Patient must be a cooperative one, and the age must be over 14 years. And all those patients who were uncooperative, had diminished level of consciousness, or profound dysphagia, or a problem of obstructive sleep apnea, were understandably excluded from the study. Now, it's a well-established fact in neurosurgery that the extent of tumor resection has a direct impact on patients' post-operative outcome, morbidity, and complications. Because of these obvious reasons, it has always been advocated to find a way to intraoperatively localize the key areas of language and motor function so that we could safely excise the lesion while preserving the neurology of the patient. The answer to this is awake craniotomy, intraoperative neurophysiological monitoring, and tractography. The combination of these techniques enable us to radically excise the lesion while preserving the neurology of the patient at the same time. Now, there are certain pre-op requirements before we proceed to the awake craniotomy. Firstly, we need the MRI images of the patient based on the neuronavigation protocol and diffusion tensor imaging. We also need the neuronavigation stealth station, the Inovid microelectrode recording machine, a microscope, Accusa, and a well-trained anesthesia team. Now, this is the neurosurgical setup of for awake craniotomy. Here you can see the neuronavigation stealth station, the microelectrode recording machine, and the pre-op DTI images of the patient. As I've already said, the anesthesia management is very, very important for awake craniotomy. This is because the patient undergoes a transformation from sleep to the awake phase. This is also known as sleep-awake pattern of anesthesia. Now, previously, anesthetists used to give propofol or fentanyl to induce the sleep. But now, because of the better neurocognitive effects, dexmedetomidine is the preferred choice. Patient is put to sleep, LM is passed, scalp lock is applied, positioning is done, incision site is marked, neuronavigation registration is done, electrodes are applied on the contralateral side of the body, and craniotomy is done. Now, the next step is direct cortical stimulation. For this, the patient must be in the awake phase. And a bipolar stimulation is given to the certain area of the cortex while we monitor the contralateral side of the body for the movement, and the microelectrodes also recorded in the form of a biphasic response. Here you can see the bipolar stimulation being given and the electrodes recording it in the form of a biphasic response. So in this way, we map the motor area of the patient. Next step is the speech mapping. Again, the patient is in the awake phase. Pre-op language assessment has already been done, and the patient is engaged in a conversation or is given a reading or counting task. And while we stimulate the language area of the patient, and the patient goes into sudden speech arrest. In this way, we map the speech area or language area of the patient. Now the next step is tumor resection. Resection begins farthest from the eloquent cortex, and we progressively move towards the eloquent cortex. And while performing the intraoperative neurophysiological monitoring, and on registering the slightest weakness, we stop the resection. So in this way, we are able to achieve the radical excision of the tumor safely and preserving the neurology of the patient at the same time. Now, these images are the examples of the tractography. Here you can see the relationship between the tumor and the precentral gyrus and the corticospinal tracts. Again, these images are just the pre-op images.
Please be quick.
Pre-op images, and just give us an idea about the route that we could use for the safe excision. And now, with the arrival of the real-time fiber tractography with the software called StealthWits, we are able to actually navigate these fiber tracts while performing the surgery. And this further enables us to safely excise the lesion. And with the addition of functional MRI into our arsenal, we have also tried to incorporate it as an adjunct to the awake craniotomy, and the results are quite outstanding. And we are further planning to incorporate functional MRI with the awake craniotomy. Now, this is just a case review. And this is one of the 23 cases that we have performed. These are the pre-op images of the patient. And in this video, you will see how we have done the speech mapping and the motor mapping. We are trying to communicate with the patient, but patient is unable to speak, so there is the speech arrest. This is how we map the language area of the patient. This is the motor mapping and the biphasic response. This is the biphasic response. And this is the bipolar stimulation being given. So now the resection began. And block excision achieved safely. So now coming to the results, out of 23 patients, 14 were male and 9 were female. The mean age was 35.5 years. Out of 23 patients, 11 had tumor in the premotor area, 5 in the prefrontal, 3 in the primary motor, and 2 each in the language and insular area. And preoperatively, 7 patients had neurological deficit. Immediately after the surgery, 7 patients had additional neurological deficit. And at 1 month after the surgery, only 5 patients had additional neurological deficit. And at 3 months after the surgery, only 2 patients remained with persistent neurological deficit. Radical excision was achieved in 17 patients and subtotal excision in 6 patients. Positive cortical mapping was achieved in 19, and in rest, there was a negative cortical mapping. This result is the summary of our results. And this is the histopathology. So we finally arrive at conclusion that although these are initial steps towards the excellence about awake craniotomy, tractography, and intraoperative neurophysiological monitoring, but we can successfully conclude that the combination of these techniques help us in radically excising the lesions safely and while preventing us from adding to the neurological deficit of the patient. This is particularly important for the low-grade gliomas in young patients because the mean survival in these patients is very good. So if we can achieve the radical excision in these patients, then the awake craniotomy can work as a miracle for them. Thank you. Any questions?